What is up, and welcome back to 24 Minutes of A24, the podcast that takes a look at the A24 library 24 minutes at a time. I am Ethan Simi.
And I'm Ben Lawhorn. This week on the pod, we are shipping up to Boston as we talk about 2016's Free Fire.
Set in Boston in 1978, a meeting in a deserted warehouse between two gangs turns into a shootout and a game of survival. On today's episode, we have an incredible guest joining us. Bryan Starr, aka BStarrCinema on social media, is here to talk about Free Fire with us. Bryan, welcome to the pod, man. How are you doing?
Yes, doing great. Thank you for having me. This is very exciting. This is one of my favorites. Yeah, and obviously we're going to get into why, but I'm very excited to talk about this movie.
Nice. I was so excited when you picked this. This is something that's been looming around for a while on our watch list. So when you said you wanted to talk about that, I was like, so much of this pod is just like, give me a reason to watch something. So I was super stoked that we're watching Free Fire.
Yes. I did indeed reach out to you to be on the show, and I was like, is there anything you want to talk about? And you were very quick with Free Fire, a movie that I actually had never even heard of until you mentioned it to me. And then I was like, oh wow, look at this cast. Cillian Murphy, Brie Larson, Armie Hammer, Jack Reynor, our fucking boy from Midsommar.
Look at that hat. Brian's representing.
I'm rocking it.
Whoa,
yeah,
let's
he's
go.
representing.
My guy.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I was pretty locked in pretty early. I'm very excited to talk about Free Fire. Before we talk about the movie, I just wanted to do one housekeeping thing. There's a lot of stuff going on out there. There is actually a bonus little housekeeping thing. That came to my brain momentarily. I think we talked a couple of weeks ago about this new movie that Nathan Fielder is going to be directing and Emma Stone was going to produce, and that would have been for A24. More news has come out that Emma Stone is actually going to star in that film as well, if I'm remembering that correctly. Yeah. So that's kind of exciting because we are talking about the back 5 episodes of The Curse at the end of the month, an event that I go to sleep every night and I dream about because I can't wait, Ben, for you to see the ending of The Curse. Bryan, did you get a chance to check out The Curse at all?
So my TV is the worst. I wish I could throw it out my window. I tried watching this show about 3 times, and it would do that thing where it just pauses, but the subtitles keep moving, so it's clearly still playing. I've gotten through 20 minutes of the first episode, and it's such a bummer because I am obsessed with Nathan Fielder, and I love that he's showing his serious side, but he's so goofy and weird that anything he's going to be a part of, I know is amazing, and I know Safdie's involved as well. And I just need to watch it on my computer, and no excuses, and just get it over with because it looks insane.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Nathan Fielder love. I think Nathan For You is the best show of the last decade. I think it's perfect. It's hilarious. I just somehow haven't gotten around to finishing The Curse yet, so I'm excited to finish off the last 5 episodes, but I'm excited for anything Nathan Fielder's doing. This is going to be fun.
I'm not going to hype it up, but I think The Curse is, outside of Succession, I think it's the greatest television show of the last decade. So take that for what you will. The real piece of housekeeping I wanted to say, that we got a final trailer for Maxine. Now this trailer was 86 seconds long, just under a minute and a half. Give us a little bit more information about the film. Bryan, have you gotten a chance to check out the second trailer for Maxine / are you excited for Maxine? You see the slash, you see what I did with the slash? I thought that was
because of the I haven't seen the new trailer, but I did see the old trailer last night in theater, and it made me very excited. It looks very good. On its own, by itself, looks amazing, and the fact that it's a part of a bigger story is crazy. But yeah, it looks like a blast.
I did not see the trailer, but I am very excited about Maxine. This trilogy is just so far it's been great, so I'm expecting nothing less.
I saw the second trailer and I immediately thought to myself, man, I wish this was the only trailer that they gave us. I wish they didn't give us the initial almost 3-minute trailer. I know that they have a lot of cast to show off, and I know that they have to train audiences to be we're in a new setting and we're in a new year, and we're in a new version of this character. But this new trailer is exactly, in my opinion, like what a trailer should be, and it's really, really exciting to see. I'm excited for this. My local theater is actually getting a 35 millimeter print of this movie, and they're showing it in like a preview screening on the 1st, and the movie comes out on the 5th. So I'm very, very, very excited for this movie. I think it's going to be great. Okay, let's talk about Free Fire. This movie came out in 2016, so it's a little deep in the A24 catalog. Directed by Ben Wheatley, who, Ben, you and I were talking briefly before we recorded, did the remake of the Hitchcock classic Rebecca, I believe. He also directed Meg 2: The Trench. So that's interesting.
He's really pigeonholed himself, He's got one type of movie. That's it. Either Hitchcock or the Meg.
Yeah, he's locked in on certain types of films. Executive producer Martin Scorsese. I want to come back to that. This movie's 91 minutes long. It stars Sharlto Copley as Vernon, Brie Larson as Justine, Armie Hammer as Ord, Cillian Murphy as Chris, and like I said, our boy Jack Reynor as Harry. Bryan, I'm gonna let you lead the conversation, man. Let's start talking about this movie. I think let's just have like an open conversation. I have a lot of like talking points to like go through. It might not be our classic true cinema style, really, because this movie is kind of like one long scene, I think you could argue. But let's dig into Free Fire. What you mentioned is one of your favorites.
First off, I just gotta shout out Ben Wheatley's Sightseers. That movie is phenomenal, and that's actually all I know him from. And so going from Sightseers to Free Fire, it makes sense. It all makes sense. And I was very excited for it. But yeah, with a name like Free Fire, it's similar to another film called Shoot 'Em Up with Clive Owen.
Yeah.
With a movie with a name like that, you're expecting something pretty great when it comes to just guns going off all the time. And that's that's what this movie is. Obviously, it doesn't start that way, but I mean, I think it like holds a record for being one of the longest shootouts on film. And yeah, it's fantastic cast and quick. Yeah, it's an hour and a half, very quick movie. And I think that's all it needed to be. If it was more, it would have felt stretched. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had a good time with this movie. This felt like, as I was watching it, what it reminded me of, I mean, Shoot 'Em Up is a great, comparison there. For me, I thought of Death Proof. I was like, Tarantino wanted to do a car chase movie. I feel like Ben Wheatley wanted to do a gunfire like movie, and this is what he did. And he did it well. Like, it was, like you said, it's quick. The humor is also quick. I love Sharlto Copley. I thought he was hilarious in this movie. There's a lot of good humor in here. And yeah, I mean, so many movies, someone gets shot and they're just like dead. And this one's just like everyone is taking multiple hits. And like everybody's James Bond in this, it's just like taking hit after hit. But I mean, it felt realistic. Also just like super funny moments of people just like barely getting nicked with the bullet and just thinking they're about to die. It's like, you're fine. This is, it's a flesh wound, so to speak. But I had a good time with this, and there were times where I was just like, where are we going with this? And it's like, I think we're here. Like, I don't think we're going anywhere. I think this is where we're at. And it's always fun, I think, to have a new entry into the one location movie, kind of Hall of Fame. And I think this is up for discussion on that. Cause like they utilize the space so well. Honestly, I had no idea really that it took place in Boston. I don't think it matters. I think it could have been any warehouse anywhere, but I had a good time with this movie.
That was going to be one of my questions. And I think we should circle back to that, is like, does it even matter that it's set in Boston? Could we even tell? I think Jack Raynor's accent is both the coolest thing about the movie and the most abhorrent thing about the movie, to be honest. Like, it is so in and out. And I respect him for that. Like, that was a choice that he chose to say cardboard in a very Boston accent, and then every other word maybe not. So I'm interested in that part. I had a good time with Free Fire. To reference our old kind of ranking system we would do here on the show. I don't think it's great by any means, but I do think for what it is really fun. And I think the thing that's really tough for me that I've been like kind of chewing on since I watched it is that I think I like it better in theory, like in concept, than I do in maybe its execution. There's so many, like, to me, flashes in the pan of really, really, really cool, funny, ingenious stuff in this movie that I wanted to keep getting more of that, and I felt like I was like, it just wasn't happening as consistently as I had wanted to. So, all that being said, Ben, you mentioned Death Proof. You thought of Death Proof when you watched this movie. I thought of Hateful Eight when I saw this movie.
Okay.
And I also thought of Knives Out. And I was like, oh, these two movies just like have merged. And they kind of just like formed like this kind of one-off with like a stellar cast that's just a shootout in one location for something people want. And that's kind of like, I think that works really well at times. I love the 91-minute runtime. Bryan, to your point, like literally 10 minutes longer and it would just not work. I just think it would kind of fall apart. So I'm impressed that they were able to figure that out. Ben, you mentioned some of the funny parts. I do think that Sharlto Copley as Vernon is operating on a very high level here, and I think he is doing really good stuff. So I think we all enjoyed it. We all had a good time with this movie. I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of like theoretical things because this movie only encapsulates so much. And this is what is hard for me, is because there's a lot of films out there that I argue for where I'm like, but you don't need more. You don't need to know what happened next. You don't need to know what came before this. Like, that's the magic of the movie. I watched Free Fire and I was like, what are our gangs getting up to? What are we going to use the guns for? Like, where are we going to go? Where did they get these guys? Where did Steve-O come from? What's his history? Like, I did want to know so much more. So credit to the movie for making me deeply interested in the circumstances and the characters that I wanted to get other stuff. The movie opens with two of the guys driving, and basically one of them is like, I have a headache. Do you have any Advil? And the guy's like, no, I got some smack. And then the guy proceeds to take some hard drugs. Bryan, do you think smack and Advil are on the same level for I guess for life, but more specifically for these people? Like, I think it's a good representation of where they're at and how maybe like hard up they are in their lives.
Yeah, I think this specific character did not want Advil. I think Advil would have done nothing for him. I think he is in the position where only hard drugs could get him through the rest of the night. Yeah, no, it's I have zero experience with hard drugs, so I don't know if that would have helped or not. But it didn't really help him. I mean, it may have helped his headache, but it definitely didn't calm him down, and
No.
Yeah.
definitely didn't make him the entire cause of this film.
I mean, that was my first laugh of the movie because of the way he phrases it. He's like, do you have any headache medicine? And I don't know why, but that really got me, just like calling it headache medicine. I was like, what are you talking? Are you talking about smack or are you talking about Advil? I have no idea what headache medicine is for you, but it was a good start to this. I'm like, okay, I think I like where we're going with this style of humor.
I think that and the song "Do the Boob" are two very imperative kind of tonal set pieces to kick this movie off, because we're met with these guys, Steve-O and Bernie, in the car, and like we have no reference as to like what's happening. We don't know where they came from. We don't know why Steve-O and Harry like got into a fight yesterday at the bar. I guess we learn about it as we go, but like we don't know more details than what is given to us. So I think it's a really interesting, like, let's throw ourselves in that situation. I wanted to come back to Scorsese being executive producer on this film. Also an exec producer on Uncut Gems, which I think is notable. Obviously he's exec produced like a ton of movies, so like this isn't a rarity by any means. But as I talk about it, as I think about it, it's very After Hours coded, where it's like we're just fighting for our lives one night, and that we hope the best thing happens, and things might get a little dicey. What do you think it was about this project that might have drew him to it? I guess outside of financial potential upside.
I think the man likes a good story, and I think like likes a good challenge, and I think that's what this movie was. Is it's a challenge. It's a one location film. How do you keep people entertained? And I don't know. I mean, for me, that's might have been what it was. It's just like the challenge of telling a good story.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the answer, but calling back to Sightseers, that was executive produced by Edgar Wright. So I don't know if there's just this like has these incredible connections, and was able to just talk Marty into it with help of Edgar. No idea, but yeah, I did want to bring that up because that's, I mean, when it comes to exec producers, these are great ones.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I'm just trying to look through his filmography real quick and see like where we fall, because this is a pretty impressive cast to get for really for kind of any kind of movie. I think now, if tomorrow we were to get a trailer for a movie, like if Free Fire didn't exist and we were to get a trailer tomorrow for Free Fire, and they were like Cillian Murphy, Brie Larson, maybe Armie Hammer, maybe we recast a little bit. But I think there's a lot of things in this where people would be like, yo, I'm fired up, like movie of the summer. Like that could just be a great time at the movie theater. Brian, I'll start with you. What do you think of the cast of this complete film, like working as a cohesive piece?
Yeah, it's weird. Kind of how perfect everybody is in their roles. Speaking of like, how did he get this cast, especially with his filmography prior? I know Cillian Murphy reached out to Ben to be in a movie of his. So again, I don't know if this guy just has magic powers, crazy connections. I mean, again, this is the third time I'm mentioning it. Sightseers is really good and really like, whoa, dark comedy. Yeah, the fact that he was able to get all of these hit names attached to it is really, really something else. But everyone just plays their role like no one to me is like, that's the one, that's the person who maybe needed another take or whatever. I love everyone in this.
I enjoyed that everyone kind of got to speak in their native tongue, it seemed like, which was great. And they kind of reference it and make jokes of it in the film. It's like, where are you from? You Austrian or something? He's like from South Africa, like, so I enjoy, I thought that was hilarious. It's like, yeah, like, why don't we just let more people speak however they naturally speak? But yeah, this cast, I think, worked wonderfully. I don't feel like we have enough Sharlto Copley out there. So I was really happy to see him. I didn't like watch really the trailer or anything, so it was like seeing Cillian Murphy show up. It's like, oh man, holy shit, okay, he's here. All right, this is cool. Yeah. So yeah, I had a great time with this cast.
I think the cast is really good. I really enjoy it. I have a few thoughts. Obviously, Armie Hammer is like kind of steeped in kind of an unfortunate history at this point in time. He is in like one of the best movies of all time, being The Social Network. So like it's a little tough to escape. It is very much like a Last Black Man in San Francisco situation where you're like, just like watch the movie like the year that it came out, and just like try to enjoy it for that. I think that they got enough like star power in Cillian Murphy, Brie Larson, Armie Hammer at the time for sure, and Sharlto Copley. Like though that's kind of like the core four. And then to be able to throw in like Jack Reynor, I think is kind of fun. So to your guys' point, like I think everybody, it works for this movie. And the people that don't have a very fascinating native tongue, aka Jack Reynor, just an American white guy, is just allowed to like kind of play around. And I really admire that about the movie. Cillian at this time had been in The Dark Knight. He'd been in The Dark Knight Rises. He was in some big-ish movies. He makes Free Fire in 2016. He goes on to make Dunkirk in 2017, like relinking with Nolan for like one of Nolan's biggest movies, which is kind of crazy that like somebody of his stature can like slide in Free Fire. I think that's really, really cool. I agree with you, Ben. I wanted more. I think we don't have enough Charlotte Copley like in the world. When I watched this, I immediately thought of Monkey Man, and I was like, 2 movies where you just like you don't want to get into business with Charlotte Copley like that. I think that is kind of his thing, which I think is really, really funny. I don't know if there's a hot take, but like I wanted more Brie Larson, and I know like her storyline is like ugh men and like men and their toys and their guns, like it's inescapable, and this is like who they are, and I get the text around that. There's probably like 20 or 25 minutes at the very end, right before we get the big, like, oh, she's here. Like this crazy thing is going to happen, where she just goes missing. And I was like, oh, where's our girl? Like I could really use some more of her. I think they detach her from the squad a little too early, and we could have gotten a lot more out of her. Steve-O and Bernie only get paid $100 to help move the guns. Good deal, bad deal.
I feels adequate for their skill level that we see throughout the film. I feel like they are worth $100. Move some guns. Had everything gone smoothly. Yeah, I think that's about right. Just a little physical labor, and that's it.
Yeah. Did they steal the vehicle that they were in? I feel like that was part of.
Must have,
Yeah.
right?
So like, not only did they have to move guns, but they had to do other just insanely illegal activities for $100.
For $100.
Yeah. But now, granted, this is dated. This is what's the official like?
That's true.
Date
1978.
1970. So I don't know what the math is there, but yeah, I don't know. If I mean, this seemed like a big deal money wise. I feel like more money could have been put on the table, even as a lackey.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm looking through what the inflation would be for our boys and what they would make in 2024. So they made $100 each in 1978. It looks like in 2023 dollars, it would be $467.10.
Okay.
That seems fair. That seems fair in my opinion. Like you, Ben, I think their skill level is exceptionally subpar. They're doing smack on the way to the deal. Our boy Steve-O shooting up and smoking on the deal. Like he's seriously letting things slide.
Shootout.
Our guy is just going off the rails. Yeah, mid shootout. So seems totally fair. Seems totally fair. Okay, I have some more questions here. Vernon gets shot. We learn about the hour and a half rule. Is this a real rule? Like you've got an hour and a half after you get shot before like you get infected or like you start to die? Like what is this rule? I've never heard of this. I guess I've never been in a shootout, but still.
Yeah. No idea. On the rewatch, I was like, wait, what is this? Just spewing random 70s facts of yeah, I've never heard that. That's funny.
I took it as some weird like meta commentary that the movie's an hour and a half long, so it's just like
I did too. Yeah, that's what I thought.
You have until this movie's over, you're gonna die, kind of thing. But yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. I think in terms of that, like the script gets quite witty. And I know what I mentioned earlier about like there are flashes of things that I like. I think ultimately what I really wanted out of this movie, I just wanted people to like just cook. Like I just wanted our guys to just like do their best. I felt like Cillian was a little restrained, and I know like the confines of the film require what we got, but like I loved all the really small interactions that we get with Vernon and Justine. This like really kind of diabolical, creepy, pervy stuff from Vernon to Justine. And then we get like Ord and Harry. They have a weird thing going on together where they hate each other, but they're also like trying to survive together. So I think all of these like offshoot conversations are really good. And I was like, yo, let's just like cook the whole movie. Like, let's just make it that. And maybe I'm wanting a different movie. Maybe I'm wanting something that's a little more like elevated, different than this. I'm not sure. I'm still hung up. I don't know.
When it comes to A24 movies, this is probably one of the least A24 movies, for sure. This is strictly, yeah, it goes back to the title of the film. I think that's all you need to expect.
Yeah.
And not unfortunately, for you, just not get anything out of it except for entertainment, despite being under the A24, um, is it just Film 4, too, and then I
Yeah.
guess Lionsgate. I have
Mm.
the DVD right here.
Oh,
Lionsgate,
nice.
I think, put it out? Maybe? Somehow they're
Okay.
attached, with, like, 4 other production companies. So, yeah, this is a very random film, in the, A24 lineup for sure.
I know I did have the thought in terms of like Vernon and Justine's relationship. I was like, if I was playing a drinking game where I took a drink every time he said bird or doll, I think I would have alcohol poisoning by the end of this movie, which I thought was kind of funny. It's like, we're not going to expand. We're just giving you bird or doll, and that's it. But again, like I don't know what it is about him, but I loved it. I thought his performance was great, and I was into it the whole time. So, yeah, obviously could have used a little more Justine. Like it felt kind of clear what they were doing by getting rid of her for the last 20 minutes. And like, okay, she'll be back, and
Yeah.
that's how we're going to wrap this all up. Because I was curious about that as we were watching. I was like, who wins here? Like, what is the outcome here? And we got some fun surprise kills. The army one really threw me off, actually. I forget what it was. Like, oh, I've got a great John Denver story. Is that what it was? Is that what he says right before going out? Like, I love the John Denver needle drops are pretty good too.
That's I guess that's what I think though, is like, if we could make a movie like this, same circumstance, shootout in a warehouse, like deal gone wrong. If you just put a cast together, 8 to 10 people, like superstars, and you turn out one of these movies every 16 months or every 18 months, like that will just chew up at the box office. Like, people will enjoy that. And I think part of the reason I thought that is because at the end, when Justine comes back and shoots Ord, and shoots Chris, and like tries to get away, she kind of has this moment with Chris where it's like, I'll tell you what I know, but also like, sucks to be you, like women rule, and then walks away, and then the cops show up, and you're like, oh shit, like did the cops get her? Did Chris die? Like, is he gonna be, kind of like taken to a hospital and revived? Like, I think there's some really good questions at the end that leave it up in the air, where if you were to make a movie like this and kind of repeat the idea, it would serve perfectly as like, okay, who out of this stacked cast, who's going to survive? Who's going to kill who? Who's going to get away with the case? Like, I think that's really fun, in my opinion. I think I guess we just need to make more movies like this, is all that I'm saying, to everybody that's watching and makes movies and has money and has power to access mega movie stars. I know you're listening. Please help us out.
Marty himself, I think, is listening. So
come on, Marty. Get back on this. Put the Jesus Project to the side for now. Bring us back to Free Fire.
Free Fire 2.
Free Fire 2. What's after the colon? Free Fire 2. At it again.
I mean, Electric Boogaloo. I don't know.
Electric Boogaloo.
Something.
I don't know. That's a tough beat. Okay. Vernon uses cardboard armor to guard against his infection. Where are we at on this? Do we think this was a smart play from Vernon?
This is just proving the one-off line that, blink and you miss it, even though you're listening, where someone says he was misdiagnosed as a genius as a kid.
And he never let it go. Yeah.
That's exactly it. Like, that's exactly it. It's like, oh, let me put, infection comes at me this way. Let me block it. And I'm safe.
That's so funny.
It's brilliant.
70 science.
It's just his character is just so aloof to it all. And and he plays it so well. Yeah.
It's great. I loved it.
Yeah, I love that part, and I love that Jack Reynor really bit into that one with the cod boadama, and he just let it fly in the warehouse, which that was really, really cool. Okay, we should go through some of these scenes because there's some pretty important things to talk about here in the movie. But I have a couple of questions left. I want to build this out real quick. Chris is Cillian Murphy's character. He comes with his squad to buy some guns. We've got Vernon, who is Sharlto Copley's character. He comes with his squad to sell the guns. First, I want to know what was Chris going to do with the guns? Like, is it just a stockpile for his gang to like be safe on the streets of Boston, or did he have something in mind?
I have no clue. I don't know that we ever get an answer for that. I had no idea. But again, that's like kind of the charm of the movie, because it's like, I don't know that it matters. Like, he just was buying guns, you know what I mean? But yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, it is weird that we get no info, and not weird in a bad way, because I do appreciate just like not knowing anything and being there along for the ride. But it is funny how we're told nothing, and the next thing we know, it's like, oh well, okay, she knows him. Okay, well now she knows him.
Mm-hmm.
She knows him. They know him. You know, it's just like constantly building on like not telling us anything, yet everyone in the movie knows. Everyone in the movie knows everything that we don't, which sometimes is the opposite. Whereas the audience typically knows more about things happening than the character. So that is interesting. But I have no idea what he needs these guns for, and it goes back to the whole like Boston thing. Why is he in Boston?
Yeah.
Why are all of these people with
Any of
accents
these
in
guys?
Boston?
Yeah.
So I have no idea.
I couldn't tell you either. I'm terrible at imagining these situations. So I'm not even gonna like attempt to pretend that I could do that. I do like the energy that Cillian Murphy brings buying guns. We're just like, fuck the small talk, let's buy some guns, eh? And I was like, that's Oppie. That's my guy. He's here for guns in the 70s, making bombs elsewhere. Do the cops get Justine? I know I asked this question, but do you guys think the cops get Justine at the end?
I'm going to say yes. I think no one survives this, dead or alive. And I'm a sucker, by the way. I don't care. I'm a sucker for a fourth wall break, and she gives us a little tiny one at the very end, and I'm just like, oh, I get a little bit of chills when she does it. It's like, oh, nice, yeah, you're caught, my friends. You tried to play both parties, and no one wins. And I love when a movie like that happens. Every now and then we just get no winners. And but we have fun. But yeah, I'm thinking she gets caught. But to go back to what you were talking about, I do like the idea that Cillian survives. Brie's somehow able to break out, or she does her time, and then we have another story. And I think that would be an absolute blast.
Yeah. I liked their exchange at the beginning, because I think he asked her if she's CIA. And she's like, I'm IFM. I'm in it for myself. It's like, all right,
Sick.
cool. But the whole time, though, I just kept wondering, was like, is she CIA, though? Like, is she going to get busted by the cops, or is she with them? Like, I don't really know. So, yeah, I'm curious. I like the idea, though, of just like no one wins here.
Yeah, especially as more people show up.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, it's like, oh snap, yeah, she's in on it for sure. But that's not really how it happens. But yeah, definitely suspicious of her the entire time for sure.
Yeah.
I do like what you were saying, Brian, of like how the movie doesn't reveal basically any information about things like we are just absolutely clamoring for. And one of those is Brie Larson's connection to like anybody, to Martin, who is like a very understated character that kind of ends up being a linchpin in like the relationship department for understanding how this movie operates. I do think she gets caught by the cops, and I do think it's the situation where, because I believe someone references it like earlier in the movie where they're like, they do say like, oh, we should just burn this place to the ground and like nobody will get out. Obviously we get a massive fire, and that kind of takes place, but I hold true to that, like, nobody's gonna get out. And I think I do I love that about this movie. Like you said, Brian, like, there's no winners. I think that's awesome because, like, as a movie culture, at least in the last 8 to 10 years, we've grown so accustomed, and especially with the growth of comic book movies, of like, who's the winner at the end of the day? Like, we have to have a hero. There has to be someone that comes out on top. Like, it can't be a zero-sum 90-minute game that we're playing here, because what's the point of that? I think I think that is a huge strength of this movie, to just abandon really all hope and just be like, all of these guys are kind of bastards, and like that this is what they get. They just die. Which I think is great. Brie Larson wins an Oscar for Room in 2015, and her follow-up movie is Free Fire. Not gonna lie, tough beat off the heels of an Oscar. Right? She won, right? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, I mean they had her as Academy Award winner or whatever in the trailer. So yeah,
tough. And then she spends the last 18 years of her life making Fast X and Captain Marvel. Bummer. Okay, let's do True Cinema. I want to save our recasting exercise for the very end here. I mentioned fuck the small talk, let's buy some guns. Any thoughts on how this kind of introduction scene sets us up? Ben, you mentioned in the car with Chris and Justine, Cillian and Brie's characters. And we start this deal kind of on the outside of the warehouse. Armie Hammer comes in with some great big dick energy, and he makes a masturbation joke. The first line that he says, really elite stuff from our guy.
Yeah, I enjoyed the beginning of this movie. For the first 10 minutes, I was like, how do we get to the gunfight here? Like, what's happening? And that is one thing I enjoy about this movie, is that it kind of comes down to two lackeys. Like, the van driver and the guy that was supposed to move the guns are the reason that like everybody's about to die here. So I think it's a great intro of like getting to meet all these characters.
Yeah, and like every conversation has a setup that eventually comes to a payoff.
Yeah.
Especially the two guys in their van at the beginning. It's the whole point of why do you have a shiner, and then putting makeup on, and what's the whole point of that? Well, what are the chances that the reason why is about to show up on the opposite team? Just creating some just incredible tension. For the first, I looked at the time. It's 27 minutes until the first gun goes off.
Oh wow!
So yeah,
third of the movie. Dang.
It's really interesting because even though it feels like one big shootout, it is so clearly a 3-act structure. Like, we get that first act, that first 27 minutes. Then things set off, and we get this middle act that kind of drives us until basically like when I can't remember Frank, I think. Like when Frank goes upstairs. And then, or at least until like we learn that there's a working phone in the building. And then we get the final act that's really balls to the wall, all out, hardcore shooter. Like, people have places they need to be to make this work, which I think is interesting for a movie like this with one single premise. You guys mentioned it. Steve-O and Harry are the reasons that any of this happens. Steve-O shoots Harry. I think one of the smartest artistic decisions of the movie is that we get an acoustic needle drop here. We drown out all other sound when the gunfight starts, and we are just stuck listening to acoustic music and all of these Bostonians, gang members, shooting each other up. And I love that. I am such a sucker for that, and I will take that all the time. I think it does it really well here.
Yeah, it's fantastic sound design.
Yeah, it's just true. They play that John Denver music so loud as he's driving the van, so slow to get up to that final resting point. And it's so eerie. Like, it's just an eerie sounding song, and it's not necessarily in reality the case, but yeah, I mean, once that first shot goes off, there's just no music. Like, eventually we get some score, eventually we get John Denver back, but it's nothing but guns, bullets, whizzing, getting hit, and then just acting and yelling and screaming, and yeah, it was wonderful.
I put on here the working phone in the building. Because this is the first time I watched this movie. When that phone rings and we get that like super zoom on it, I was like, oh shit, that's really neat. Like I had zero clue we were going to introduce this kind of wild card here, where it's like, okay, I understand that we're in a shootout and I understand like we're two different gangs and that has its appeal, sure. But now we have a common goal where everybody wants to get to the phone. I think that's a really smart choice for this movie to keep the pace, to keep the tension. Because once you get to this, you're having a gunfight for like 20 or 25 minutes after the outside deal, and things could get stale a little easily. So you introduce this working phone, and people start going crazy over the phone. Chris eventually gets to the phone after all this other bullshit happens, and he calls Leary. I gotta be honest, like, I don't know if that's who I'm calling. I'm not sure that I'm calling our boy from Wonka to come and save you, even though he dies, like, I don't know, 100 yards into the warehouse?
Yeah.
Like, missed opportunity.
Yeah, indeed. With the phone, though, I do just reading some of the trivia from IMDb that, like, Wheatley set this in the 70s because he didn't, get around the cell phone issue.
Yeah.
But I think it's great then that the phone becomes such a central focus, for part of this movie and just like everyone's intent to get to it. But that whole part where Chris is up top and really just kind of like causes his demise by like banging on the window and getting his attention. He's like, hey, I'm up here. And then it's like fucking it's over after that. Worked
so
really
brutal.
Well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good way to just keep it moving, keep it going, get us to, once we get rid of the two outsider shooters, we gotta go somewhere else without leaving the building, because we're still stuck in the same spot. So yeah, take away the use of phones, cell phones, and give them all a reason to move from their hiding spots. Or yeah, you can just hide. You can just hide all day. So yeah, brilliant.
Okay, Frank gets stuck with a needle. I wanted to put this one on the list because I didn't see this coming, and I think it's a great like little moment because you just don't think about it. You're like, oh shit, like we're just having a gunfight. Like people are just worried about bullets and guns and protecting themselves. And then our guy Frank is just scooting along and gets stabbed with a needle. I mean, if he wasn't gonna die of bullets, like he was dying of tetanus or something, right? Like he was definitely dying of a disease.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's tough.
Everyone got pricked by something.
Yeah.
I know.
That's true.
Army Hammer got hit with glass. Vern got hit with glass. First off, everyone is getting a workout.
Crawling.
Everyone is only using arms and legs for a good 20 minutes of this movie. Everyone is just like, I'm tired watching it for these actors who are just having to drag their bodies upstairs, downstairs. They sell it quite well, but as they're dragging, who knows what they're rubbing up against and being scraped with in this abandoned building. Yeah.
I think if I did have one major takeaway from the movie, it's like I'm not physically nor mentally fit for a 90-minute shootout in a warehouse. Like I just couldn't. Yeah. I couldn't hang. I just can't do it. So I'm glad I learned that about myself. This is where things get interesting, and I'll read a few of these here so we can maybe like talk about them in chunks because people start to die, people start to get shot, and like this is kind of the third act of the movie where things really start to kind of like tumble out of control. Party Marty. I think Armie Hammer was saying Party Marty is one of, if not the single best line deliveries in this movie because it's such a perfect comedic break where everything is so high tension and they're like, oh wow, that's what a brain looks like. And it's like he wakes up and we immediately cut to Armie Hammer just being like, oh cool, like more people that we're gonna have to deal with. I think is really good. Party Marty wakes back up. He kind of has like a moment, like in a video game or something where like you get an extra 30 seconds because you hit, you got like the medic needle or whatever. Right. And he just like, he goes out with a bang. Vern catches on fire. He shoots Frank by the phone. Vern is trying to get to the phone. Chris shoots Vernon in the nose.
Yeah.
Is that the most brutal kill of the movie?
I'm gonna say no.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with no too, but
Ooh.
up until then, it was unexpected because so many of these shots just like you just see, you know, a little hit here or there and nothing too intense, but this one was just like very focused right on his face. So it's like, oh shit, we are gonna see some of these kills. Okay.
There's no like fast camera wipe that's trying to like match the speed of the bullet that then is, you know, lands on the hit. You see the hit. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's right in the nose, which is probably more shocking than the forehead, honestly.
Yeah.
Definitely more shocking. I agree. I think in the third act here is where we get some of the most inventive kind of camera work from Ben Wheatley. Like we get a gun POV going in both directions, which I think is really neat. We get a couple moments like that where I was like, whoa, man, like I wanted so much more of this, and I think it would have been really, really neat. Harry beats the shit out of Leary. Shout out our boy Jack Reynor, surviving, or I guess another life in which he doesn't get maimed with a bear skin. Beats the shit out of Leary, who, again, I gotta be honest, extremely ineffective backup. Like that like I thought Chris was gonna be calling the cavalry here, and he's just calling one guy that can't take on a guy with a fake Boston accent. It's tough. It's tough to be Leary. That's my take.
Yep.
Yeah. Steven gets his head run over by Harry, ends up shooting Harry in the ass. Again, really great comedy line delivery from Armie Hammer when he ends up getting to the van. He's like, I think he shot him in the ass. Like, I think that's great. Justine ends up shooting Ord, which is Armie Hammer's character, and Chris, when she inevitably kind of like pops out and has a little conversation with Chris about them, you know, linking up for dinner, which I thought was like a great little callback. Then, like you said, Brian, we kind of get that little miniature like fourth wall break of like, I'm toast, and you guys have been watching this whole thing. In this big mess, we do learn that Martin was in with Howard, who are some like hired guns. Is that like that's how it was? And so Martin and Justine, they were in on this together with the hired guns. They were going to try and take out both gangs and walk away with the guns and the money. Is that right?
Kind of what it felt like, yeah.
Yeah, because she was quite as devastated when Martin got hit early on versus everybody else. Yeah, I don't remember the exact like, oh yeah, she was in on it with Martin moment, but obviously there was a moment when Martin goes to the older guy. What was his name? That got shot. The hired hand.
Howard.
Yeah.
Howard, yeah, and he starts whispering about like this would have been easy.
Mm-hmm.
You should have just come in and done your job and everything. So that's when we're like, oh, okay, that's who hired them, because that's what everyone's trying to figure out is like, wait, where do these guys come from? And of course, Brie's not going to mention it. But yeah.
It was tough for our guy Howard to get back out there in the field, and you know he's just trying to provide for his kids, and he's like, I gotta get these deals going here, and then he's like, I'm gonna tell you who hired me, except not, I'm gonna die right before, and I think it's Armie Hammer's character again, if I'm not mistaken, where he's like, well, Howard's not gonna say anything else, and it's like, yeah good one, guy, like that's pretty funny. Okay, any specific true cinema you guys want to call out? You disagreed with me on the most brutal kill, so I'm curious what you think the most brutal kill in the movie is.
Gotta be the van, right?
Yeah, it's got to be Steven getting his head crushed with the slowest van.
Yeah,
that makes a whole other lap. Like he's able to get out of the van away from danger just for the van to slowly make a loop back. And then, of course, if you haven't read into it, that was real. Like they actually filmed this tire going over the actor's head, and it's all like a magic trick, basically. So he took the way that they did it from Penn and Teller, an
Wow.
act that they did. And basically, what you do is you take your van and you put it as heavy as possible on one side, and then the two wheels on the other side are super light and not
Oh,
real wheels. And
yeah.
so they can run over heads. And the director did it first to kind of prove that it's safe. But that's how you get that camera looking down at it happening with no CGI, no stunt actor
Wow, that's
or anything
awesome.
like that. Yeah. And
That's way
speaking of
cool.
stunts, Charlton Copley was lit on fire
No way.
for that bit as well. Yeah.
Nice.
So a lot of stunts, a lot of craziness
Practical
happening.
shit.
Yeah, I don't know what the budget is, but that kind of makes sense as well for
Yeah.
Yeah.
them to kind of to do some of their own stunting.
I think that is definitely part of the charm of the movie, where like I know I'm advocating for like let's make some of these now. I'm worried. Like if someone were to make one of these movies next summer, it's like sick. Like $50 million budget and we're just gonna CGI bullets going everywhere. And it's like, no,
Yeah, I would hope not.
that's not the
Yeah.
point. So yeah, I think Free Fire definitely gets that right. I think my true cinema moment is kind of a combination of two. It is when Ord and Harry are going back and forth about like, well, I'll do this if you pay me more money. Harry elicits like 20 G's out of Ord first, and then the roles are reversed later on, where they have to like pay the other person, and their like animosity that they have toward one another towards the end, I think is really really effective in the movie. So I like their relationship a lot.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like a one moment you want to call out at all?
For me, it's just the shock of the Ord death. I have a great John Denver story, and then just like boom, just going out. It's like, oh, I did not see that coming at all, and that's fantastic. That's probably the part I enjoyed the most.
Yeah. Charlton Copley,
Yeah.
just everything about him. I'm
Yeah.
trying to like remember the line, but when he gets shot for the first time, it barely scuffs him and hits his shoulder pads, which Brie Larson mentions.
Yeah, so funny.
Um, and she's like talking to him, trying to like calm him down, and he out of nowhere goes from whining to just like being badass. And he says something like, "I'm African, I'm good," or "I'm
Yeah.
strong," or "I'm something." It's just a great like one-off line that just cracks me up. This was the first time I watched it with subtitles, just
Mm.
so I could catch every line because so much happens, especially when the reveal of Steve-O bottling the girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's against it, but Charlton Copley just has some of these some of these great lines, and he's like, "Oh, he did that to a girl. I would never do that to a girl." And then
Yeah.
Brie Larson says, "Oh, I know, you would never do that." And then as Charlton Copley looks away, Brie has the biggest eye roll,
Yeah.
and
Huge.
it's
So good.
so brilliant. Yeah, it's just the comedy is there when it needs to be, and the action
Yeah.
is there when it needs to be, and it's a fun ride for sure.
I think
During
the line he says is South Africa isn't a place for sissies. And I was like, yeah, exactly, man. Like, rep your country, dude. I love it so much. I thought it was so good.
I think in that same scene that you mentioned, Brian, is one of my favorite line deliveries from him, where they start to beat up on Harry, I think, and they're like, oh, don't like, he's like, don't worry, we taught him a lesson, we straightened him out right now, and it's like, guy, like it's not going to end there. We all know that. Like,
Yeah.
you got to do better than that. Okay. I want to do a little game that we've never done. This is our 150th episode of 24
Ooh.
minutes of A24. Just like shout
Hey.
out Ben. Look at us. Who would have thought?
We did it. We did
that
it.
we're here. Brian, you're celebrating with us. So
I
you
love
should
it.
feel privileged. I'll send you a trophy in the mail very soon. You can display it.
Please, I need it.
We're gonna steal the recasting couch from the rewatchables. And I hope I don't get hit with the trademark infringement. So maybe it's like recasting webcam is what we'll do right now. Give me 4 people that you would put in the next Free Fire. So if we're making a movie like this, a la Knives Out situation, because Knives Out 3, the cast is coming out. Same thing happened with Knives Out 2, Glass Onion, where it's just like every day we're getting new people, and it's like, wow, I think
Mhm.
this might be the most popular cast of all time. We're living that with Knives Out 3 right now as well. So if we're thinking about it in terms of that, we've got a new Free Fire type movie coming out next year, in 2 years, whatever the case. We're gonna have a standoff in a warehouse with a gun deal gone bad. Who are your core 4 that you're gonna put in this movie? Because obviously, Charlton Copley, Brie Larson, Armie Hammer, Cillian Murphy. Those are like our core 4 leaders of this film. Who would you put in their stead?
I'll defer to our guest if he's ready or whatever. I mean, I'm happy to go.
Yeah, I wrote down some names, just like spitballing, but my first name, immediate name, is Paul Walter Hauser.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
I just, I just, I just think he fits in that era. I think
Mhm.
I think I could just see him in that era if we're sticking to the same time frame or dates or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think he looks great. I like the idea of Natasha Lyonne,
Ooh,
of sort of
Oh yeah.
bringing some comedy to it, but with her accents, with her voice, I think that would just be a lot of fun. I wrote down Michael Keaton.
Hell yeah.
sick.
He's great in everything, but I don't know. To get an older character,
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, I wrote down Michael Keaton, and then by the way, the lateral casting for Army Hammer is Henry Cavill, so
Fair.
that's easy.
Man
Yep.
from
But
Uncle, dude. Let's do it.
Ooh, okay,
I
not the
think
guy from one of the most popular Mission Impossible movies, but that's okay. We'll get around that.
I think Lakeith Stanfield is my next.
Oh,
I'm just a big fan of Lakeith.
he was on my
So
list, Brian. He's on my short
that
list.
then it must be.
He'd fit the time period. He'd bring excellent comedy. He's ripe
Yeah.
for a movie like this.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's no coincidence that he is in Knives Out as well, in the original Knives
Yes,
Out.
correct.
I think he fits
about
these
that for
things
sure.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben, I'll let you go next.
Well, I kind of have a Atlanta TV show connection because I put Donald Glover in the Cillian Murphy
Oh,
role
nice.
for myself.
Okay.
I wasn't necessarily keeping it in like the same time frame. I just was like, what do I want to see? You know?
Yeah.
Army Hammer, I went with Glenn Powell. He's seems to be
Ooh.
all the rage right now, and I think he could fit that role pretty well. Here's my dream casting that I know won't happen, but I wanted to. I want Gosling in the Charlton Copley role.
That's
I
2
think
out of
he'd
my
be great.
4. That's 2 of my
Really?
4.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And I want him because I really want him to bring Eva Mendes out of retirement. I want her back in movies.
Oh, yes.
I want her back so bad.
so
If she could
good.
be in this, I would love it. I wanted to see Austin Butler do the Jack
Seriously,
Reynor role.
dude, you're spoiling my entire cast list here.
Hey,
This is
3 out of
insane.
4.
That's 3 out of 4.
And then the last one, just like the 2 friends that are just like kind of no real use, but pretty funny. I want Kyle Mooney and Beck Bennett. Like I miss seeing them on SNL, and I think the 2 of them could be kind of funny in that role.
That would be good.
I think they'd be great. So that's what I got.
I know you're pulling Kyle Mooney because we did a Kyle Mooney movie last week. I know Mooney's on the brain.
Love Mooney. I'm always here for it.
So funny. That's so funny.
Good. Was it Brigsby Bear? Is that the
Brigsby
name of
Bear?
that
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So you guys got a few of mine. I had Gosling, I had Butler, I had Lakeith Stanfield. I've got other people, so I will go with a brand new cast of 4 here, so I don't do any repeats. I hadn't thought about like what role I necessarily want them in. I had just thought this is the kid. Like these are the people that I want. I want Coleman Domingo. I think he would be really, really interesting in a movie like this. I think he would play both sides of the coin quite well. I guess kind of substituting my Lakeith Stanfield. I put Keke Palmer. I think we need to get Keke. We need to get her making good movies again. Like where have we been ever since Nope? And I think she would be great in this movie. That's 2. I've got Aubrey Plaza. I think it, like you said, Natasha Lyonne, Brian. Like that's my fill-in for that. I think she would just bring absolute acid to a movie like this and do weird shit. And then I've got to have since I can't have Gosling, since I can't have Butler, I've got to have a guy. I've got to have a big burly guy. So I actually put Chris Hemsworth on here. And I'm not necessarily like super pro Chris Hemsworth, but I think when you let him cook, he is good. And I that is what I would like to see out of a movie like this. And so if we put Chris Hemsworth, Aubrey Plaza, Coleman Domingo, Keke Palmer together, like even if they're not in this movie, if I saw a movie with those 4 people listed on the cast, I'd be like, movies are back. Like we're winning again. But so I feel pretty good about that. Okay, let's do our A1 acts. Let's do our ranking, and we'll wrap this pod here. Of course, we're gonna do Cillian Murphy for our A1 acts. I don't think we've covered another A24 movie with Cillian in it.
I don't think so.
I'm not sure if he's in another A24 movie. That would be an interesting question. So we've got Free Fire, 28 Days Later, Girl with a Pearl Earring, Batman Begins, Red Eye, Sunshine, The Dark Knight, Inception, In Time, Transcendence, Dunkirk, A Quiet Place Part 2, Peaky Blinders, and Oppenheimer is what I've got on the short list for Cillian. Do you guys have an A1 act for our guy?
I'm gonna go with Batman Begins. I think his performance as Scarecrow is really, really good. And the fact that he gets brought back for all 3 movies is kind of fun as well, even if it's just little bit role in The Dark Knight, not my diagnosis, and that's it. It's like, he really came back just for that line. That's amazing. That's so good. But I really enjoyed his performance in Batman Begins, so I'm gonna go with that.
Okay. The Oppenheimer slander continues. No surprise.
Yeah. Gotta stay true to myself.
Gotta stay true.
Interesting. So my favorite zombie movie would 28 Days Later.
Sure.
That being said, Sunshine is one of my favorites on this entire list. I think there's better films, but I love Sunshine. I love the soundtrack. I love the genre turn. I love everyone in that movie. It's just a great movie that I love to share with people if they haven't heard of it, because it's a bit random, a bit underrated, unheard of. But yeah, I really, really love Sunshine. So if I'm picking a movie, I like to pick movies that maybe people haven't checked out yet.
Yeah.
So obviously the newer ones, the more popular ones, of course, people have probably heard of. But if no one's talking Sunshine, I highly recommend that.
Nice.
I had not heard of Sunshine until yesterday when a coworker of mine, I was telling him I was going to watch Free Fire. We're going to talk about it on the pod. And Cillian Murphy was in this movie. He had mentioned how 28 Days Later is one of his favorite movies. Of course, we went on a big tangent of like, I can't watch that movie. It's nowhere. Like literally you cannot watch it anywhere, which is like the craziest thing. Good thing he's got a DVD of it and he's going to let me borrow it someday, which is really fantastic. Shout out Physical Media coming together for the win. All that to say, he was like, oh, have you seen Sunshine? I'm like, I've never heard of Sunshine. I looked it up on Letterboxd. He described it to me and I was like, yo, this movie sounds like it rips. So I'm going to check out Sunshine for sure. I'm also going to go with a movie that I don't hear enough people talk about. I don't think it's more in the same vein, Brian, of like underrated. Not a lot of people have seen it. It's called Oppenheimer. And I think that's, I don't think there's much more to say about that.
What is this?
Yeah, it's actually a Neon film. They bought it out of Sundance last year.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Is that character from mentioned in Tenet?
Yeah,
exactly.
It is actually. Yeah, it is.
The
Oppenheimer
of Tenet.
From the world of Tenet. Yeah, is what it is.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I actually do want to give a shout out to Red Eye, and I do want to give a shout out to In Time. While In Time might not be a good movie whatsoever, the premise for In Time is one of the coolest things in the world, that you pay with time. And like there's a scene in that movie, I haven't seen it forever, but I know this scene where Justin Timberlake gambles all of his time, and like if he loses, he has like 1 second to live at the table, and he ends up winning, and it's like one of the most electric things I remember watching when I was like 14 years old. I was like, this is the highest concept thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay, we're going to do movies set in Boston, even though we all agreed Free Fire being set in Boston it doesn't really matter, and it doesn't really come across. But I figured, hey, what the hell? Let's go with Boston.
Yeah.
So we've got Free Fire, we've got The Departed, Good Will Hunting, The Town, Fever Pitch, The Fighter, Gone Baby Gone, Manchester by the Sea, Mystic River, Spotlight, The Verdict, and The Holdovers is what I have here on the short list. What are you guys gonna pick?
Man, a lot of really good stuff here. A lot of Affleck, a lot of Damon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with The Town. I think that's probably my favorite from this list. Maybe not the best movie on this list,
Sure.
but if I was gonna throw something on just to like watch something, The Town would probably be what I would pick. So that's what I'm gonna go with. I think it's a really fun movie.
There's like two that are jumping out at me. One that I don't think I'm gonna rush to watch again, but super powerful seeing it in theaters was Manchester by the Sea.
Oh God,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, KCF, just wow. But yeah, I'm gonna pick Spotlight. Spotlight was
They
a
knew.
good
They knew
impact.
the whole time, and they let it happen. Could have been you. Could have been me. Could have been any of us.
So
They knew.
yeah, I grew up religious as well. So when I see stuff like that, it just continues to stoke the fire
yeah,
of my anger towards some things. And so, but just well done, Mark Ruffalo, right? I'm not thinking of something else.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love Mark Ruffalo. So, but yeah, great cast altogether. Good story. It sucks, but just put together, told really well.
Mhm.
Yeah. Just fucking all-star movie. I don't know what else to say about that. I did my bit, which is good. I needed to do my bit here on the show. I would have chosen Spotlight. Ben, you chose The Town. So I'm of course going to go with The Departed. I'm not sure there's a more like, oh, Boston, The Departed. Like that's how that works. Like that's what Scorsese was able to do. And I still it's kind of weird because you think about The Departed, and I rewatched it recently for like a Scorsese pod that we did not too long ago, and I was like, damn, is this like one of his most underrated movies? And people talk about it all the time, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if we know how good The Departed is. Like, I don't know if we knew what we had when we had it. Yeah, good flick. Okay, A24 ranking. We've got A through F24. Bryan, I'm going to let you rank this movie first. You can add a plus, you can add a minus, whatever you want to do. But this is going out for the world to see what your ranking is of this movie.
Yeah, which I am notoriously not a ranker of films. Um, it's just tough. It's so
Yeah.
like what. So that being said, to me, the enjoyment factor, to me, it's a B24. Just across just B, nothing more, nothing less. It is again not that much of an A24 film in general. And so just when it comes to just enjoyment of a film, I really, really like it. I think it's fun. So I'm gonna give it a B.
Nice.
I love
That
that.
is exactly what I was going to rate it as well. I think for what this is, it's fun. It's 90 minutes. It's a good cast. We're in or out. So solid B for me.
Yeah, that's good. I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but I'm bumping down. Unfortunately, I'm gonna go with a C24. I think it's a good time. I still think that I like it better in concept than in execution. But I think there's a lot of merit to this kind of a movie. And I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you, Bryan, for letting us like watch this movie. Like I would have never. I would have never known about this movie. I never would have checked this movie out, and I'm glad that I did. So I think that at least constitutes something. Next week on the pod, we're talking about a Noah Baumbach film. We're going with While We're Young. This is a movie I wanted to get to for a really, really long time here on the show. I'm excited to talk about it. Bryan, have you seen While We're Young?
I love While We're Young.
Ooh, nice.
I watched While We're Young at that pivotal moment in life that Ben Stiller is also going through. Ben Stiller, right? I
Yeah.
sometimes I
Ben
just throw
Stiller.
names out. Yeah. There's I don't remember the line, but there was a line in that movie that just hit me hard, and it was when we were thinking about having a kid, and it's exactly what's happening here, and yeah, it's something that just yeah, I don't love controversial. I don't love everything Baumbach does.
Hmm.
While We're Young really just impacted me perfectly. And that which means it's probably not going to hit everybody like it
Yeah.
did me. But that's a favorite of mine.
Nice.
Are you a big White Noise head? Is that where you ride for Baumbach on White Noise?
No.
Okay,
Not
good.
at
I have
all.
like
Okay, whew,
yeah,
close
no,
call.
no, yeah,
Yeah, fair. Okay, it sounds like I'm gonna love that movie, so I'm really really excited.
cool. Yeah.
Another short one, I think. So we're like 3 weeks in a row on the
Nice.
tight flicks here, which is really really exciting. Bryan, thanks so much for being on the pod today, man. I appreciate it. I had a pleasure talking free fire with you. If people want to find more of you, where can they find you at?
Yeah, BStarrCinema across the board. I tend to mostly just put things towards TikTok and then eventually share to Instagram and YouTube. But yeah, just BStarrCinema wherever you want to watch. That's it.
Nice.
Yeah, highly
Awesome.
recommend the follow. Absolutely great content
I appreciate
from
it.
Bryan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
thank you
so
for having
much.
me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for being here. I watch your shit. I'm like, guys, got so much cool shit. He's got so much stuff. It's like, it's yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Some will say too much stuff.
Maybe too much stuff. Yeah, yeah. But to each
but I
their
love
own.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
exactly. Yeah, everyone let us know your thoughts on Free Fire. We're on Twitter and Instagram at 24 minutes of A24. And don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, where you can watch all 3 of our beautiful faces talking about this movie. Thank you everyone for your support. Really appreciate it. I am Ben Lawhorn.
and I am Ethan Simi. Spring break forever, bitches.